Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night from when you're watching this video. This is John from IT Skills Academy with yet another video. Today, I present to you yet another pharmacy management system. I'll take you through how I created this simple pharmacy management system using PHP and MySQLi. To make it simple, I'll break it into several episodes as follows. In the first episode, I'll basically be introducing you to the system and also show you the basic dashboard that we'll be using for the system. In the second episode, we are going to set up the database. Then in the third episode, we'll be creating the dashboard now. And in the fourth episode, we'll be adding the patients. Fifth, we'll be adding or managing the patients another. In the sixth episode, we'll be adding and managing suppliers. And then in the sixth and in the seventh episode, we'll be dealing with drugs, that is entering or adding the drugs into the system, and also managing the drugs in terms of editing, in terms of deleting the drugs. We'll also be dealing with the expired drugs in the 8th episode, and in the last but not the least episode number 9, we'll be dealing with the billing system, that is where we'll be managing the transactions and what have you. So hope this is interesting, and without so much ado, let's just get started. Well, this is episode 6 of how to create a pharmacy management system. So if this is your first time that you're watching this video, we've created 5 episodes. Rather, we've created 5 episodes. And in the last episode, basically we were dealing with the suppliers. We saw how you can be able to add the suppliers, all details into the database, and also reflect them in the system. We also saw how you can be able to update the suppliers. We also saw how you can be able to activate stroke deactivate the suppliers, as well as how you can be able to delete the suppliers. In this specific episode, we will be adding the drugs because we're dealing with a pharmacy system. So basically what we'll be requiring the most are the drugs, so we need to have a way of adding them into our system. And the reason as to why we started with the suppliers before the drugs is because as you're adding the drugs, you'll need to include the supplier, or like where you got the drugs. So as you can see in the screen right now, we have the form that will help us to add the drugs. So basically we'll be having the drug details. So below here we are having other details, which I think I might need to change because we don't need to have other details. Remember, we're just using a specific form, so the details might be out of order a little bit, but we just need to change them a little bit. So let me just head on to Visual Studio here, and this being our specific form, so I just need to come here, and maybe I can replace this to do with maybe let me just talk about pricing, or you can give it in a name. And we don't need the SVG, this SVG. Maybe we can let me just get rid of it just to try and save time there. You can have one that has maybe catch or something. And then now I need to come and rename this, the placeholder, so that now instead of saying RG's condition and other conditions, is in line with what we want to have there. So this one maybe can be this one can be buying price, so buying price, and maybe here we can have the selling price. And we can also maybe the last one here talk about maybe in the stock. So that is the number of drugs that you're putting into the system. How many drugs are you stocking? So you can have it as stock or maybe quantity. So hope that is looking fine. We can just refresh to see how that looks like. And that's looking fine. So now the next thing that we want to do is to work on this. So this is where we'll be inputting the supplier, and we need to get this from the database. So let me just load the database here. So I'll just go to localhost PHP my admin. Oh, sorry. Localhost PHP my admin. Yeah, so as that loads, so I can just be explaining what we just need to do here. So we just need to pull the suppliers from the database. Remember, in the previous episode we added the suppliers into the system. So we want, as we are adding the drug here, to be able to include the supplier to whom we've got the drug from. Okay, so that looks like it is taking some time, so let's just give it its time there, so that in the meantime we can also proceed with something else, and that has to do with pulling the supplier from the database. So what we are going to do is, I'm going to go to the very top of this page here, and I'm going to have the PHP opening and closing tags. And within this, I'm going to require the connection to the database. So I'm just going to say require, and I'm requiring the con.php. So let me just confirm where that is. It's under, let me see if it's under includes, just to confirm. So we have it under includes, so, and that is still within the pages. Yes, so I can just come here and say includes /con .php. So this is the page that contains the connection to the database, the connection to the database. So now that we have the connection to the database, we can now be able to simply pull the data from the specific database. And so what I'm just going to do is this option will be within the while loop. So let me just show you how I usually do that. So I'm going to have the PHP opening and closing tags here, and now here I'm just going to write a script that will help me to select data from the database. So I'm just going to, as usual, create a variable called SQL, and this is where I'm going to have the select statement. So this one will be select, and I want all in this case, so select all, and I want that to come from the suppliers. That is a table that we have in the database, and we want to do this where the status is equals to 0. So if you can recall, in the previous episode we discussed how you can be able to activate and deactivate the supplier, and we said that If the status of the supplier is 0, it means the supplier is active. However, if the status of the supplier is 1, then it means the supplier is inactive. So if the supplier is inactive, we don't need to have them in this specific field or in the selection panel. But if the supplier is active, then we can include the supplier in the selection so that a person can be able to select them. However, if the supplier was maybe deactivated but it's active, a person will just need to go to the supplier, activate that so that it can appear here, and once it is activated, then the status of the supplier will just turn to 0. So if you want to understand that better, you can watch the previous episode where we did all that practically. That is episode 5.1 of how to create a pharmacy management system. The link to the whole playlist, of course, is in the description of this specific video. So moving on, the next thing that we want to do is to create a query that will now fetch the data from the database. So how we are going to do that is we're going to have a variable. This variable will be called results, and it will be equal to MySQLI. So that is MySQLI underscore query. Sorry. And so here the variables will be con and the SQL. So we've been doing this, so I don't need to explain as much. So here we're going to SQL. And so now the next thing that you want to do is to check if there are any records. So if they are if you have any records in the database, so how we are going to do that is, of course, create an if statement, and then within the if statement the condition will be res. So that is the results is equals to true, and if it is equals to true, then it means that these two ran successfully or are executed successfully. So we need to count so that we know whether we have any records or not. So how we are going to do the count is we're going to use the MySQLI underscore num underscore rows, and here the variable will be less, and here I will also come and create yet another if statement. So this is an if statement within an if statement. So I'm going to talk about count is greater than 0, and within this now what we are saying is if the count is greater than 0, it means we have some records. So we want now to fetch the records. So we're going to use the MySQLI fetch a sock, and we're going to use a while loop because we want to get all the records. So I'm going to talk about while, and here I want to store my records in this variable called rows. So I'm going to create a variable and set it to be equal to now the MySQLI underscore fetch underscore a sock. And here we will also include the variable res for the connection to the database, and also for the select query. So now that is done there, It now means that we already have the records. If everything went well, we have the records stored in this variable. So what we're going to do now is to store the records that we need again in variables, because we cannot work with it when it is like this. So to make it easy for us to work with it, we're going to have some specific variables within which we are going to store those records. So I'm just going to say I'll create a variable called ID, and I'm going to store this information, that is the information in the rows, and specifically the ID. So I'm going to talk about the ID like that. And again, finally, I'm also going to require from the rows the record name or names of the suppliers. And so now that we have that, it therefore means that we can now we already have the data, we just now need to like echo it here. So we are going to echo it within the option. Remember the option that we removed, so that's the one that we are going to have. And so the way we are going to have it, that is because it is HTML, as usual, you know that we are closing the PHP and opening it again here like that. Within that, that's where we are having our HTML. So we still have the HTML within the PHP, which if you don't do like we have done here, it will not work for you. So here now I can just come and echo the supplier. So I just say echo, and I'm just going to echo this name that we are having here. Of course, I'm going to because this is an option, I'm also going to have that included here. So I'm going to grab this, copy that, I'm going to have it there. We're going to see the reason as to why I'm doing that. So I'll remove this one, and instead of having it there, I'm going to have it inside here. Remember, we need to capture this so that we can be able to insert it into a database. And so, as we said, we need to have with every field name should have a name, and that name should have, of course, the name of that specific field. So with this name, we'll be able to grab this information, and we can be able to move it to another page for whatever purpose. So yeah, so we're going to have that. So this name and these are not related. This is the name of the supplier, but this is the name that is going to help us to take this specific name to a specific page for us to be able to insert it into the database. We're going to understand that better as we continue, so just have that behind your mind. So if I now go to the database here and I refresh that, I should now be able to see that okay, so we'll be told that we have that error there. I don't know why we have it. Oh, sorry, we didn't change it here. So this should be name. So we are calling it here, but we had not like defined it on top there. So that's being the case. Now you can see I can be able to click on the drop down, and I can be able to select the supplier. So if I go to the database here, suppliers, you see we have 3 suppliers, the John Doe, the Doe Caroline, the James Caroline. But you can see for the Doe Caroline and James Caroline, they are they are inactive, they are deactivated, and so it's only John Doe who is active, as we can see here. So if you want to see the rest, the Caroline Doe and the rest, maybe I need to go to the suppliers here and maybe activate. So if I activate that, and say for example now I go to the add drugs, you'll notice that if I click on the drop down now, the Caroline is there. And if, let's say for example, I deactivate the rest, they will just be out of the list. So and this is because in our code here we said that where the status is equals to 0, but if you want all of them, then we would just remove this line of code. But because we want to work with only those who are active, that's why we are having it like that. In your case it might be different, so yeah, you can personalize it over there. So now that that is done, we can now work on inserting this data into the database. So the first thing that I usually need to do is to ensure that all my input fields have the names. So in this case I'll need just talk about the supplier. Let me see what we have in the database, like what are we using. Yeah, we are using the name. So in this case I will also use the name. So we said that it's always good that you match them, so that what you have here as the name is also what you have here in the field name of your column. So that is okay. We also need to have a name for this. So maybe just here we just talk of name is equals to, and here we need to have the type. Sorry, yeah, so in this case we need to be reviewing the table drugs, because that's where the information will be going. Yes, so in fact we need to check this, because you can see it is supplier and not name, because in that case it will be the name of the drug. So this one, let me just have it as supplier, and this one can be type, yes, and this one can be name, that is the name of the drug. So name. So I'm just having it like that because initially that's how I have it here. So the name, the type, and the supplier. So that's okay. Then you have the selling price and the buying price. So I'm just going to have it like this as well, and of course now the stock. And I'll also need to include more information like the expiry date. So let me work on that real quick. So here I'm going to have name is equals to, so this one will be B price, so that is B price, and here we are going again to have the name, and sorry, this one will be the S price. So the S price, so that's okay. And finally, yeah, we have the stock. So name is equals to stock, and that's okay. So finally, I'll also need to include the expiry date. So maybe we just have it down here. So just to make the work easier, I'm going to grab this buying price. So that is the whole of this. Just grab that, and let me just have it where, just a minute, try to see. Okay, this one should be, like that, so that we can see everything clearly. Let me just have it there. And this one will be the expire date. Let me see how I have it here. So expire date, that's okay. And also here, let me just check this to date for a minute, and I refresh. So once I refresh, then now this one now should be a date. I don't need to have the placeholder because we are having this date format. So yeah, so with this calendar now I can be able to easily select the expiry date of the drug. Okay, so so far so good, everything is working fine there. So we have the expiry date, we have the stock, we have the S price, we have the B price. What else do we have here? The supplier name, the type, and the name of the drug. So everything is looking fine so far. So the next thing that we need to do is to come to this action. So we need to have this form with the method of post, so that we can be able to pass this information to another page. So I'm going to talk about post, and for the action, this will include the path to where we are going to have that second page. So I'm going to call these let me just create it so that we can be able to understand. So I'm going to go to the includes, and within the includes I'm going to create a file, and within this file I'm going now to have the name. So let me just have it in lowercase. So I'm going to call it and drugs inc.php. I need to have this name because this is the name that I'm going to have it here. So we just go back, and this page is in the includes, so / that page. Okay, so that's fine. So we are now going to work on this add drugs inc.php, which is the specific page. And of course, as you would expect, we are going to have the PHP opening tag. We don't need the closing because we are not going to have any HTML below the table. So now working on the add drugs inc.php. So this is a script that is going to add the information into the database. So the first thing we need to do, of course, is to require the connection to the database, in which case we're just going to require the con.php. So now that we are connected to the database, we now want to first of all grab the information that we collected from this specific form. So how we are going to do that is, of course, use the if statement. The condition, of course, as you know, will be if it's set. We're going to have the method that we're using to pass the information, which in this case is the post. And something that I forgot is talk about the submit. Although if you've been following this tutorial, you understand the reason as to why we need the submit here. So this is the button that is going to execute everything here, and this button I have it down here. So this is the button, and this button I need to include a few attributes. So the first is a name, which will be submit. In fact, I think I just need that, the name, which is the submit. So that's okay. So that now here I'm just going to say if the submit button was clicked, then we want to grab the information from that specific form. So first of all, I usually like to test the code. So if I want to see if the button was clicked, maybe I can echo I was clicked, for example. So let's go try that. So I just click on it, and okay, something has happened. I was yeah, so there you go. I was clicked, as you can see here. So that means the button is working fine, and with it now I can be able to collect the records that will be supplied within this form. So I can just comment that out. I might maybe need it, so I'm just going to have that there. And so now I'm going to create variables that are going to store my records that I'm going to collect from the form. So I'm just going to have the first one as the drag name, and then I'm going to grab this because this is where the information will be stored, and so I'm just going to have it there. And so here I'm just going to be specific on what I need, and so in this case it's the name. I think that's what I have here. And so you're going to see the reason as to why we require the name. As I said in the beginning, the reason as to why we require this name is because the information that we input in this specific field will be stored in this name, so that the moment I click submit and I'm taken to this specific form, through this post method I'm able to grab that specific record that was inputted in that specific field. So and that's why the names should be the same. So the name that you're going to put here is the name that you're also going to require here. Okay, so now I can maybe just duplicate that, because I need 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So I have 1, then 2 3 4 5 6 7. So that's the name. Here I'll require the B price, so that is the B price. Here I'm going to require the the S price. Here I'm going to require the stock, maybe the expiry date. Just a minute, I confirm that name. I don't know how I wrote it here. Yeah, let me grab it from here just to avoid issues. So sorry. Okay. Okay. So let me just have it like that. And what else? Maybe the supplier. And so I can get rid of this. And so of course, as you would expect, we need to end every line with a semicolon. So I can just hold the Alt and just to make the work easier, have the commas. It's also the semicolons. So let me just have this one now here. So that's the price. So you can also include maybe the profit, which will be the difference between the buying and the selling price. So yeah, just to make your system a bit more comprehensive. Okay, so that's okay there. So the next thing that I now need to do, it might be some extra work, but I just usually prefer just to do it, just to be sure of what I'm doing. So first of all, I'm going to echo every record that I am requesting from the form. So for example, I'm going to require the drag name. I'm going to require to see 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6. So you can do this, or you may fail to do it, but sometimes I see it being good, because if there's anything that is not working fine, you'll be able to quickly identify it at this specific point, so that the moment you start now to just insert the data into the database, it will be straight away, and you will not need to go back and forth. So I can try to echo all that information. So let me just come here now, and I try to have the names. So maybe I can have Panadol, which maybe is a sale up. Maybe the supplier is that. Maybe it's 150, and maybe we're going to sell it at 190, and maybe we want to, or we have like 90 pieces which are expiring in 2024, maybe December 7th, just to have some dummy data. So if I click on and, I'm going to have Panadol 150, 190, 190, then yeah, we are having the 90 as a stock, then we're having the expiry date, and then we're having the supplier. Why do we have the John? Yeah, we don't need to have the John. I expect to see Caroline. Okay, so supplier. So you see, the reason as to why we might need to fix that is because of such issues. Yes, it's because of this. So here, in fact, this should be here instead. And I in fact don't need this here, sorry. This name is taken care of here. So here we just need to have the values. That's okay. So let's do that one more time. So, and oh, sorry. I need to refresh that. So Panadol, this is sale up, this is John, this is 2024 8 and yeah, so now we have the John Doe, which is one of the suppliers that we have in the database. So now that that is working fine, I can just comment this out. Okay, so now we just need to insert them into the database, which will be really quick. So we just create a variable called SQL, and then here we are going to have the insert statement. So inserting into the table called drugs, and we are going to set the information as follows. So we have the name is equals to so we'll have the a drug name, sorry, drug name, and let me just duplicate this 1 2 3 4 5 6, and just be renaming them. So that's type this is B price, B price, sorry, B price, this one is S price. Here we have the supplier name, supplier, and finally we'll have the stock. So stock like that. And so the last one doesn't need to have a comma, so just remove the comma and continue. And so now because we have everything set as it should be, we now need to have the results. We want to see if that was inserted successfully. So just to make our work easier, and because this is something that we've been repeating all over again, I'm just going to grab one of what we have written before, so like this one. So so this is the one that we'll be repeating here, so I'm just going to grab that. Maybe I will explain for anybody who might not have understood it yet. So basically we are just creating a variable, setting it to MySQLi query. We're just testing the connection to the database, and also whether the data here was inserted well into the database. And you can see here, first of all, what we did is to require the connection to the database. So and now down here we are creating an if statement where the condition is if this is true, if all this was executed successfully, then we can redirect the user to a specific page with a certain message. So for us to have that message, we are creating a global session, and then the name of that session is update, and this is the information that they are going to have. So in this case, we're just going to change this to a drug inserted successfully. So that is if that was true, and they will be redirected to this specific location. So for us to be able to redirect the user to a specific location, we're just going to require the header, and then in brackets we're going to have the location, and of course now the path where that page is stored. Else, if this is false, then we are going to have this, which is similar, but the only thing is that the message will be different. So the session will be failed, and then the message will be maybe drug sorry, drug was not inserted successfully, try again or contact admin. So maybe just to make it a bit unique, we can call this drug, and drug like that. So that's all that we need there. So we cannot try to insert the data into the database and see if that is working as we would expect. Let me see. Okay. Oh, we didn't change the location, sorry. This one should not be supplier, it should be say drugs. Let me confirm that. Drugs, good. And this one as well, drugs. However, maybe let's see if the data was inserted. It's only that we were redirected. Yeah, so we were able to insert the data into the database successfully. So the only thing is that we were not redirected properly, and we also have an issue with the date, which was not inserted. Let me just confirm something here. Go to structure. I think it's okay. Maybe it's only that maybe something was the issue there. Let's try to insert another. So add drugs, and here maybe we can have Peritron, this one being a tablet, and we are getting this from Caroline Doe. Maybe the price is 10 and we'll be selling it at 14, and we have like 300 of them, and the expiry date is 2024 to 8. Let's insert. Yeah, we are redirected to the drugs, which is really okay. So let's see if that date is fixed, and not yet. Okay, so looks like oh, sorry, we don't have it here already. We need to have it here. So the expiry date, we didn't set it here, so the column is not being updated. So expiry date, fine, thank you. So if I now try to add, maybe we might need a button here so that we can easily get here, but I think it's also working fine. So now let me have proof and maybe this one is sell up from John Doe, the selling price 170. Maybe we have like 90 of them. Expiry is 2025. 8 1 and refresh. Good. So you can see now the date is well set there. So the only thing that we are now left with is to pull that data so that we can be able to see it here. So I'm going to do that real quick. So I'm just going to go to the page drugs here, and it will be very simple because we've done this before. So I'm just going to go here to the T head. So I'm going to just have the PHP. So PHP, and here I'm going to first of all require the connection to the database. Finally, I'm going to create a select query. Okay, so now that is working fine, maybe you can have the success message. Maybe just come and grab this. Yeah, and there you can see we have the success message, drug inserted successfully, and we have our drugs there. So in the next episode, basically what we'll be doing is to see how we can be able to update these drugs, like edit them, delete the drugs, and of course it is from these that we'll be seeing how we can be able now to sell them, because the purpose of the system is to one, help us to manage the drugs, and it is managing them in terms of bringing them in and taking them out, in terms of selling them, and so on and so forth. So that will come in episode 6.1. So episode 6.1 or rather episode 6 might be quite long, so I'm having it as episode 6.1, or rather 6.1, 6.2, and so on and so forth. So up until that time, see you in the next video, and thank you for watching up until this part. Bye.